Harris is on here talking to you. I think he's brought some issues up of things that we need to address. I think the problems they're having down in Memphis with gang violence and here in Nashville that I think we can start to address, but do it specifically. Let's not do a shotgun approach. Let's do a razor approach and a scalpel.
If I'm hearing you correctly, I like this idea of instead of throwing a blanket over the entirety of the Second Amendment and catching so many law-abiding citizens in that nexus, how about carving out the people that are doing it the right way and set them aside, those of us law-abiding citizens that do the things right, and then finding those niches that are sadly growing in our communities where they're not doing it right, where they're stealing and really grind down on those crimes and try to put some teeth behind punishment so maybe it gets through the clutter and some of these individuals recognize the severity of the crime that they might be committing.
We need to send a message to those groups that we're not playing around anymore. And you will stop this behavior or else. And the or else is just going to be criminal incarceration.
Representative Scott Sapicki's with us. If you have a question or a comment, throw it on the super text line, or you can give us a call, 615-737-9986. It's 18 after the hour. Back in a moment on Super Talk. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you about Mark at the Safe House. It's a summer of sales at the Safe House, and right now, Mark told me, and I couldn't believe it, but I read it 3, 4, 5 times, and it's here, that they have received yet another shipment of Browning and Liberty safes. You heard me correctly. Now, they're selling them as fast as they can because they've got great deals on these things. The rebates were available all summer long. They cannot keep them in stock, but they are receiving new models weekly. Great deals on Browning, great deals on Liberty, gun safes, jewelry safes, high security safes. They have them all. Plus, and I don't talk about this enough, it says safes and vaults right there on the front of the building on 4th Avenue South. And I've seen some of those incredible vault doors. And Mark does a lot of this. For custom homes, when you build your home, if you're thinking about building a home, you need to build in that custom safe space that gives you the ability to have that safe right there. And you need a vault door. And they have them. Right there. They're the largest vault door retailer in the Southeast, as a matter of fact, and they've got a bigger showroom of safes than any place in the United States of America or the world, and that means the universe. Over 500 safes in stock. Most times they've got over 600. All the big brands, Browning, Liberty, Fort Knox. Go and see them online at NashvilleSafeHouse.com. Tell Mark that I sent you when you stop by 4th Avenue South. It's the Safe House. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 123, spending some time with Representative Scott Sapicki, a good friend of the show, talking about the call to a special session, which is underway 4 p.m. on August 21st. Before I ask you some of the specifics on the call, are you concerned at all? Let me ask it a different way. Are you confident in the abilities of the Tennessee State Troopers, et cetera, to keep you guys safe? There's a lot of talk about protest, a lot of talk about rabble-rousing. Hell, the Bullhorn Trio might show their behinds as well. But are you confident you guys are A-okay?
Yeah, I would be very careful messing with the people with the hats.
Sure.
That would be a bad decision on your part. They are very serious about what they do up there. They are very protective of us especially. So please, whatever you do, don't touch a representative because that'll end your day very poorly. But they will do their job. They do it without prejudice. It doesn't matter who comes in the door. They treat everybody the same, right? But be careful coming up. Folks, if you come up here, let's make comments. Let's be sensible, right?
Yeah, I mean,
be careful. Careful.
There was a suggestion, and I brought it up with Senator Jack Johnson yesterday, and the suggestion was brought to me by a friend of mine. I don't know if he wants me to give him credit, so I won't. That in the gallery, things descended into a little chaos.
No, it was chaos.
In the end of the regular session.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of evidence and some suggestions that a lot of the people that caused the greatest ruckus were not even from Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if there's a way to prioritize Tennessee citizens in the gallery. That might be tough.
Yeah, you're looking at that's a public place. It's very difficult to do that because we have people that live here that haven't changed their driver's license over yet from where they come from. So it's very difficult to do that. What we can say is, you're in the gallery, you're observing the legislative process, right? You are the witnesses to what happens. You're not supposed to be a participant, right? Yeah. You're supposed to be there to be able to swear and attest to what the business was at hand, that it was done correctly. I think if everybody, and this is society, Matt, right? There's no middle ground anymore. It's hard right, hard left. There's no middle ground because one side's not going to budge, the other side's not going to budge. And that's where we navigate right now as legislators, is we try to figure out the best possible course forward for the bulk of the people in Tennessee, the majority, right? There are constitutional rights that you can't infringe upon. And to look at legislation that comes forward, if you will just bounce that off of, am I infringing on people's rights, then the decisions get pretty easy. It's when you try to get into that gray area where everybody starts talking about compromise, right? Compromise leads you to a place that could put you with taking away someone's rights.
When we first started talking about the specter of a special session, after the governor mentioned that he was planning on calling one, you seemed very concerned that it was, a lot of sound and fury and would signify nothing. You seem more hopeful that you can get some good legislation passed out of this session now.
I do. I think there's things, especially with school safety plans, that we definitely need to address. I know Leader Lambert has already filed a bill on that about addressing fire alarms and how we handle fire alarms going forward.
I talked to William about this, and it's a really good point that he makes. And I don't mean to cut you off there, but speak to more of that legislation as you understand.
Well, I think it's good to where we have to be careful of if a fire alarm goes off, the first thing we do is jump out in the hallways. We need to have a little bit better technology, which is out there, to identify, do we have a fire? Or is it because of, like we fear at Covenant, was the gunfire went off and the smoke triggered the gunpowder triggered the fire alarm, and the natural recourse of the children is to get up, go to the door, open the door, the kids go out in the hallway and get out. Well, that's not a good scenario.
Yeah, sadly, it is believed, based on my conversations with people who walked the scene in Covenant, that one, if not two of the kids, one of the young kids was the fire leader in the classroom and happened to be right next to the stairway that the shooter
walked into a bad situation.
And because they had been trained, because the kids get excited about going through these processes, when the fire alarm went off, oh, it's a fire, go to fire drill, everybody, fire drill. And sadly, the young man who was the fire leader got killed as a result. And this would potentially use modern technology to address whether or not there's an actual fire when the fire alarm goes off, whether the fire alarm was pulled or whether it was set off, those types of things, to better enable the teachers in that case to identify whether or not this is an actual fire and an event that they need to be concerned with.
And that's where the school safety bill we came in with the technology for the classrooms, that's where that comes in, where they're going to get their school safety grants. But we have to be able to say, hey, we need you to change the way you do this, but when we ask you to change the way you do this, we're going to fund the solutions. And I think that's the one thing that Governor Lee and the speakers and the General Assembly has done is we've taken upon ourselves to use the taxpayer money that people send us in a good, positive way to make our schools more secure and to hopefully have SROs. As you know, I'm very passionate about this, have SROs in every school across the state of Tennessee.
Leads me to the next question. So
I knew that was coming.
The state, well, we might not have enough time. I tell you what we'll do. I want to take a time out and stick around for another segment because SROs is a huge subject. And I've not heard it officially proposed. Maybe Representative Scott Sapicki is the guy to do this. Is it time, and I'll let you answer on the other side, the question is it time that the state not only begs of the local communities that they have SROs in every school, but that they require SROs in every school and fund it? It's 129, almost 130 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I experienced something several months ago that was a lot of fun. I sat down with Steve Abramowitz and had a great hour-and-a-half interview or so with the Mill Creek View, Tennessee podcast. And I fell in love with what Steve's doing over there. He's interviewing politicians, of course. He's interviewing figures like myself for whatever reason. He's also interviewing sports figures and entertainment figures, cultural touchstones, authors, artists. It is frequently the number one show in politics on Podomatic, and it can be found anywhere: Deezer, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, all of your favorite podcast apps. I love it so much. I told Steve, let me talk about you on the radio. And Steve said, absolutely, let's do that. So run over when maybe you've got some downtime, maybe you're out exercising or whatever. When you're not listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN, check out the Mill Creek View, Tennessee podcast. Also, Steve is editor-in-chief and CEO of the Mill Creek View newspaper, which can be found at mcview.us. That's mcview.us, where you'll find a listing of all of the podcasts, including my own, yours truly, right there on the podcast. It's the Mill Creek View, Tennessee podcast. Go check it out today.
It's Friday Eve all day long on The Matt Murphy Show.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 134. Hey, by the way, I realized I've not mentioned this yet. You know, yesterday it was a big deal on that J Street Korean Grill and Bar thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I said that I would buy a drink if somebody bought a ticket.
Yeah, a lot of people texted in pictures of their tickets.
Yeah, I counted at least 4. Might have been more than that. So here's what that caused. And Scott Sapicki's with us, and we're going to get back to the special session in a moment. But Sapicki, you'll appreciate this. So I wanted to fill all the seats, and I saw where we had a few seats still vacant. And I said, listen, you guys go to the thing and buy a ticket today, and I'll buy you a drink of your choosing, whether it's sweet tea or you get one drink ticket with your meal, but I'll buy you the second one, whether it's a wine, a cocktail, whatever. I'll foot the bill for that. And so Dan Mandis of Nashville's Morning News this morning he felt threatened or whatever. He said, we can beat 4. He got competitive again.
It's so unusual for him, too.
And he said, we can do better than this. We can do better than 4. And Matt's so competitive, and he did 4, and I want to get more than that so we can beat Murphy. And he was really wanting to beat me in this concept of buying drinks for people who bought tickets.
Now, see, if he'd had any brains, Dan, you would have extended Matt's offer, and Matt made Matt bear the financial burden of it.
Hold on. Don't. So I'm going to call a truce. I've got an idea because I want as many people to come as possible, and I want you to enjoy yourselves. And if that little extra offer is what pushes you over the top to meet us on the 15th at the J Street Korean Grill and Bar, then so be it. But I also feel like Mandis needs a win here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the bigger man, and I'm going to let Dan buy all the drinks.
Oh, that
for
is
everybody.
Sweet. Look at you being the good guy.
Right? So all of you that I said I was going to buy drinks for, Mandis has your drinks handled because I feel like he needs the win. Right?
You're just a good guy.
Do you understand how awesome it is to whitewash this fence? You guys don't even know how wonderful it is to whitewash this fence. Dan Mandis knows how wonderful it is to whitewash this fence. So that's what we're doing now.
You're a good egg.
I try.
You didn't hear the intro, did you?
I didn't.
It's Friday Eve all day long on The Matt Murphy Show.
What? Why are you a Benedict Arnold?
I'm not. I'm
you
totally
should have my
understood.
back.
No, I do have your back.
On the Friday Eve thing?
No, not on that.
That's awful. Do you, Scott Sapicki?
Are you guys married?
We sound like it, don't we? No, this is a platonic radio marriage. Make no mistake. A producer-host relationship, it's very much like this, where you think your radio partner's got your back, and then they stab you in the back, and then you just left there bleeding on the radio. Scott Sapicki, do you say Friday Eve ever?
When I'm here.
Love that man. Love that man.
If I didn't like you so much, I'd call you a jerk. Right now, I would, but I do.
Remember, I have legislative authority.
And you're big, and you've got even bigger children. And you know how I get when politicians or politicians.
Yeah, his kids could beat your ass.
That's true. Hey, I'm 6 days out from being threatened.
Well, you better be careful because it's about to go back to 0.
That's true. That's just true. Back to more serious topics. It seems a no-brainer if we believe that we should do everything, as our liberal friends in the General Assembly tell us, that we should do everything in our power to protect the children. It seems an absolute no-brainer, particularly considering that the General Assembly, against the votes of some of those same Democrats, passed legislation to fully fund school resource officers in every single public school in the state of Tennessee.
And private.
And private.
Yes.
The Metro Nashville school system has turned down $5.25 million. I think they took a little over $3 million, turned down an additional $5 million. And sadly, Metro Nashville Police Chief Drake said the reason was that they didn't feel like they could fill the 70 positions that would be necessary to put SROs in elementary schools in the time allotted, which was, I'm going to try to be calm, a year. They had a year to get it done, and he claims he couldn't do it. I believe Chief Drake was kind of taking one for the team because certain individuals in the Metro Nashville school system did not want SROs in elementary schools. Senator Heidi Campbell, in her run for mayor, made comment on my radio show about this, saying that SROs in elementary schools would be, quote, militarizing our elementary schools. I know the answer to this, but I want you to speak to that first, and I'm going to ask you a question about what you can do as a General Assembly on this matter.
You know, if you've been to elementary schools like I have, I've been to 37 districts across the state. The one thing I know, especially in elementary schools, is those SROs that are in those schools love those children. They love interacting with them. They love talking to them, because sometimes these kids, this is the only adult that they have in their life that cares about them. And having those SROs in those situations, Dr. Battle, would possibly put these kids in a better framework and state of mind in regards to looking at police officers, of someone that they run to when they're in trouble, someone that they depend on for help when they're in trouble, instead of the excuses that are made of militarizing schools or kids are afraid of the police. You know what? They may be afraid of the police because they've never had a positive interaction with them. Why don't we, instead of having high school kids in our inner cities, that when the police stop and they continue to run and bad things start to happen with that, maybe they have a relationship with the police that is a trusting one, that they want to get the help of these officers, these male and female officers, that do one thing, and they do one thing very well, especially in our schools. They protect our children, they care about our children, and they want to be there in case something bad happens. Matt, I'm telling you, if something bad happens that we don't want to happen in Metro Nashville schools in an elementary school, I don't know where we go from there.
So that begs this question. Has it been suggested in your conversations leading up to the special session? And I'm loath to do this. I'm a home rule guy. I'm a local rule guy. I want the local communities to make the decisions. At the same time, the state, in all of this grand experiment that is the United States of America, the states ought to and do hold supreme power in most all things. Mm-hmm. The states created the federal government. The states also created, for example, the Metro Nashville Charter. So the state has a lot of say in this. Is it time for this suggestion to be made that the state require SROs in all of our public schools?
Well, sometimes, and I've learned this as a legislator, sometimes you can craft the legislation to let them know that this is ready to go. And maybe you can take a corrective action on your part at the local level to prevent this from being mandated from the state. But, Matt, I think we're in a different time right now. I think that that we are well aware of the dangers, especially when you single out the most vulnerable part of your school community is your elementary kids that cannot defend themselves. Now, you've seen my sons in high school, right? You better be bringing some with you if you're going to take on my boys, because you're going to end up on the short end of the
right.
stick.
They're going to know how to fight back.
But these elementary kids and these teachers in which are normally our youngest teachers, are the most vulnerable population we had, and it is just shocking to me that you would say, I'm going to have SROs in my middle school. I'm going to have 2 SROs in my high school, but to the public, I'm going to have no SROs in the most vulnerable population.
And we know, and I'm not trying to be overly dramatic, Scott, but what we do know about the Covenant School shooter, what we have learned is that the Covenant School shooter targeted several locations. And one of the locations, and I don't mind saying it because I had it corroborated from 2 different sources, was the Opry Mills Mall.
Correct.
And it was told to me that the decision was made by her that the Opry Mills Mall was too secure.
That's correct.
Now, lay that over what you just said, that God forbid something bad happen. We don't want it to happen. But I know that there's 2 SROs in high schools.
Correct.
In Nashville. I know that there's an SRO in middle schools. I also know that there aren't any SROs right now in elementary schools. You're creating a targeted experience, and God forbid something happen. No one wants anything to happen. But we need to be protected. And these folks who are so quick to jump on your constitutional rights and my constitutional rights as law-abiding citizens, for whatever reason, refuse to even consider it as a local matter, even when the state legislature fully funds it.
That's correct. I think we've got to really start to consider, like you said, crafting some legislation that requires it. Now, maybe it's just allowing, and in the current law we have, Matt, both entities, the school system and law enforcement, have to enter into an agreement to place these SRO officers into schools.
Okay.
Maybe under the guise of public safety, right? Providing the safety of these children and these teachers, that maybe if this understanding cannot be reached, then we give law enforcement the ability to trump the school system on public safety and say, we will put these SROs in these schools. Because my gut feeling is I do not believe any law enforcement agency, even Chief Battle, knows that he has to protect. He knows he's got to protect these kids. And he wants to do it. Deep down inside, I think he wants to do it. And you kind of alluded to it, that maybe he's doing a solid for someone else to protect them by saying he can't get them. But let me tell you something. They've taken the money for middle and high school. So they're going to go after officers for middle and high school. Well, why wouldn't you just take the money for elementary? And if you're going to get middle school and high school covered, just shift those into elementary.
And I said at the time, Drake's there saying, we don't have the time. I'm thinking it's a year. The $5.25 million's on the table. You've got 70 positions to fill. I know you're short already. I get it. But I did the math, Scott. 70, even if I grant $1 million in administrative costs, that's still like $57,000 a position for these SROs. I'm thinking, if you go for it, and if you fall short, I am certain that the General Assembly will work with you.
Well, it's a grant, right? So we can renew the grant and refund it again next year for another $5 million more, and keep expanding it if we have to. If you're telling me, Chief, that you don't have enough money to get it done, let your representative know, and trust me, they'll run a bill and we'll fund it appropriately. But this is not about money. This is about will.
It's all want to.
And I will tell you this, in the General Assembly, we have the will to make this happen.
All right, let's talk to Walker in Fayetteville. Wants to comment on this with Representative Scott Sapicki in the moments that we have left. Walker, what do you got?
Yeah, my brother lives in North Alabama. I live in Fayetteville. And the problem is, if you look, and you talk about it, because you're a good guy, and that's why I listen to your show every day. Most of the people that go into school shootings are targeting elementary kids so they can defend themselves, and not high schools. And my brother that lives in North Alabama, they're giving them a lot of advice about SROs. How much is a human life worth that they can't get an SRO in a school to stop these people? And I'll wait on your comment.
Walker, I got to be honest. I'm having trouble hearing the question. Will you repeat the question again? How much? I lost some of it.
Yeah. The problem is the schools here in Tennessee, where I'm from, they target the elementary schools. Catch that? Did you catch it?
I lost you again, Walker. I lost the last side of it.
Okay, I got it now. Okay, I'm okay now. I turned my head to the left and stuck my tongue.
No, it's okay. Just one more time with the question.
Okay. They target the elementary schools where these children can't defend themselves.
Right.
The high school kids, we got all these big football players. They won't go in there hardly ever.
Right.
They'll beat the hell out of them. Excuse my language, but they target these elementary schools, and they're giving us a lot of flack about getting SROs. How much is a human life worth that they can't get one SRO to protect these children? And why don't they? Now, where my brother lives in North Alabama, they've changed. He lives in Madison County. They've changed all their school doors to metal doors where they can't blow the glass out.
Well, that's another component. I'm glad you brought it up. I want Scott to have the chance to speak to that. I think we're all in agreement that it is inexplicable that we would not expend the same resources in our elementary schools that we do in middle or high school, or even more.
That is correct. And most districts are on board with this. They are ramping up their school safety assessments to making sure that they have the ballistic tape on the glass now. They have the locks on the doors. They're buying the cameras, the ones that you have to press the button and they identify who you are. They're investing in, I think it's called Raptor or Viper, which is you have to show them your driver's license. They run that through the system real quick to see if there's any wants and warrants.
Yes.
Making sure, and it is becoming a very secure facility, but you must secure those facilities where your most vulnerable are, and these are these little kids who are 6, 7 years old.
It seems to me that the governor has, and I'm not acting as a cheerleader for the governor when I say this, but I'm looking at the call, and it feels like he has listened to interests that he's spoken with, like the legislature, with some of these items. Human trafficking comes to mind. He included that in the call. I mean, so are those some things that you're excited about from a special session perspective? Anything else that we've missed that particularly caught your eye?
No, I think what we've talked about is very well taken by the people of Tennessee. We're trying to stiffen the crimes for people who commit gun crimes, right? We're trying to provide more accessibility to mental health in those facilities. We're looking into human trafficking and stiffening the penalties. You got to secure the border. Okay, we got to secure the border first to stop the flow of all these people coming across that are putting these kids in danger of being trafficked.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to secure the border. I hope they're listening. I hope our congressmen and senators are listening.
I got Congressman Mark Green on next. So
we have got to secure the border, because if you secure the border for us, and Congressman Green was here in the General Assembly, then we can protect our borders better in Tennessee. But when we got this flow of people coming across, that people that are outside the system, that are in the shadows, and they're trying to get fed, they are susceptible to these people in human trafficking. It is. And it's affecting everybody, Matt. We've got to solve this problem in Tennessee very quickly. And we can do that with help from the federal government by securing the border.
And circling back to where we started before we say goodbye, it's a no-brainer on the issue of constitutional rights and red flag laws that this is going nowhere.
Going nowhere.
Well, there you go.
Question.
Yes.
5601, Scott for governor. That's a statement, not a question. Is that going to happen?
No, I can do it. Hold on. Wait. Let me repeat it. Scott for governor? Scott for governor?
Okay, you're going to be getting a phone call from my wife real quick, and she's going to she's going to probably put a hit on
So that's a maybe.
Look, I don't need Scott. I mean, the last time I was at a get-together, I had the audio-visual guy coming after me. I don't need Scott's wife coming after me because of something you said, Belkay.
Remember, she was the mother of my 2 boys.
That's true.
She can take you out.
I'm sure she can. By the way, Sapicki said a minute ago, with you with no goatee, you want to tell him?
You look like you're about 12 years old back there, man.
Well, I'll take it.
You probably get carded now when you go down on Broadway.
I hope so. Your lips to God's ears.
You can't get him out of his house. He's not going anywhere near Broadway. By the way, and I just one final thought before we say goodbye. I know that you don't think someone with this little fashion sense notices, but your little Foursquare game, your pocket square game, solid, on point.
Ty's pretty rocking too.
Yeah, I like that.
That's for my wife. She takes care of me very well.
Yeah, good for you. Representative Sapicki, thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, back with Congressman Mark Green coming up next, plus Senator Tommy Tuberville next hour on The Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. PhD weight loss has helped me lose 26 pounds so far. That's the best endorsement that I can give you, folks. 26 pounds, actually a little more than that. I am on my way to my target weight, and I cannot tell you the difference it's made in my life. Not just in how I feel, but how I eat, how I sleep. I'm telling all of you it's the best thing that I've done. And if I can do it, you can too. There's never been a better time than today, because it is a day to lose weight. Perfect day to get started. Join me in my weight loss journey with PhD Weight Loss. Thanks to Dr. Ashley Lucas's PhD Weight Loss program and nutrition system, I'm on my way to my target weight. Men lose 3 to 5 pounds per week. Women 2 to 3 pounds per week on average. And don't forget about the guarantee. PhD Weight Loss guarantees if you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, they will continue to coach you for free until you do. You can't ask for more than that. Go to myphdweightloss.com. Once again, myphdweightloss.com. Do this today and be like me. Lose that weight with PhD Weight Loss.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Maury with your top story. Spotty showers expected across the mid-state. Right now, 75 degrees and cloudy. Complete weather forecast just a few minutes away. The United States and Iran have reached an agreement that would release 4 American citizens from Iranian prison. A lawyer representing one of the detainees says that 4 American citizens were released from a notorious prison in Iran today and are currently under house arrest. Jay O'Brien has more from the White House on efforts to bring them home.
Familiar with the negotiations, described house arrest as a process that, if all goes well, could ultimately see Siamak Namazi, Ahmad Shagari, Murad Tabas, and a 4th who's asked not to be identified, freed from Iran, along with a 5th U.S. national who's already under house arrest. If they are allowed to leave Iran, the Biden administration is expected to approve the release of roughly $6 billion worth of Iranian assets held in a restricted account in South Korea due to U.S. sanction laws.
Right now in Nashville, Fox 17 News has been looking into the number of students who get disciplined in Metro Nashville public schools. They say state data shows Antioch High School tops the list at 402 students in the last school year. Antioch High is where a teacher was punched in the face and pepper sprayed for taking a student's cell phone when she refused to put it away during class. Metro Schools told Fox 17 the district made changes with the new principal in charge. And another group of Covenant school parents are happy with Governor Lee's call for an emergency order of protection restricting access to firearms if a judge says someone is a danger to themselves or others. And if it doesn't happen this month,
we will be back this January, the January after that, the January after that, and the January after that for as long as it takes to make our children safer.
Leading Republican lawmakers favor institutionalizing someone that a judge deems a public safety threat rather than taking access to guns away from people. And looks like Hollywood writers and studios are going to try talking again with another meeting set for tomorrow. Here's Jason Nathanson.
Representatives for the studios reached out to the Writers Guild negotiators for more talks Friday. That according to the WGA in a letter sent to members Thursday. They say they expect the AMPTP to provide responses to WGA proposals outlined in a meeting last Friday, which was their first since the strike began. The strike, which hit the milestone of 100 days on Wednesday. According to both sides, last week's talks weren't exactly productive. Don't expect the strike to end anytime soon. But the fact that they're meeting again is encouraging to some.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News, WWTN Hendersonville, Nashville.
Hey, folks, it's the Matt Murphy for Dr. Gill and the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, located in Franklin. Friends, I've told you for a long time, if you have any pain, it used to be, and I get it, I'm 49 years old, almost 50, and so back when I was a kid, when you talked about a chiropractor, you talked about back pain, specifically, and mainly lower back pain. But now, advancements in technology, a lot of those advancements promoted by the Dr. Gill Center first in Middle Tennessee. Those advancements have made it possible for them to help you out with neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, any type of pain that you have on your body. They can assist you with their Class 5 laser, their red light therapy, and yes, the spinal decompression that works so well that helped alleviate my pain in my upper neck and my lower back. So regardless of where the pain comes from, allow the Dr. Gill Center to examine you. $49. That's the cost of an examination. Initial appointment, less than $49, and you will get a full examination, including x-rays. The Dr. Gill Center. For back, neck, and chronic pain relief in Franklin, go by or give them a call today at 615-882-4838. 882-4838. It's the Dr. Gill Center. Hey, how are you? Hour number 3 of the Matt Murphy Show in progress. I still have to sneeze. Don't you give me that. I still have to sneeze, and I haven't yet. So we've got a lot going on over here. Congressman Mark Green's running a little
burning in your sinuses.
No, there's a tingly going on right now. I can sneeze at any second. I don't want to sneeze on you. So I've got Congressman Mark Green, who's running a little bit late. He's texting me to tell me that while I'm talking to you about the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. In the midst of that, Belle Kay's talking to me in my ear. In the midst of that, I got to sneeze. I mean, really bad. So if you heard that pause right at the end of our conversation about Dr. Gill, that was me. I turned off the mic because I thought I was about to sneeze all over everybody.
Do you need to go pee-pee?
I actually, now that you mention it, I do. Thank you very much. Hey, look, Mac Morey's back in the newsroom again. I love seeing Mac back because now that Chris Hand's no longer here, we can talk bad about him. I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
Yeah, like Chris has to leave for you to do that.
No, that's true. That's true. Morey agreed with me on the Disney thing, but that's good. Disagreement is a good thing. It's American. We should be able to disagree about a few of these things, talk it out, hash it out, and then allow the people to figure out where they are on the matters. Is that not right?
Well, I think with the Disney thing, I mean, if all the stuff that Chris was saying was true, which no doubt some of the things are there in those movies, those weird whatever things are there, but like I've watched those movies for years and years and years, and those things have had no effect on me. So really, how relevant is it?
Really? You want to argue that?
Okay.
I see your shorts.
My shorts are great.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
Well, that's what I asked. I mean, we were talking about Disney earlier this morning, if you missed it. And Hand made a lot of good points, and we're just picking on him.
Of course.
But I asked the question, well, you watched the movies. How did you turn out okay? I mean, but anyway. I referenced that only because I saw you out of the corner of my eye. And I was just responding to Tennessee Stands responding to us. Gary Humble's organization, really the only true conservative organization ever in the history of ever is Tennessee Stands. And if you don't believe me, just ask Gary. And Gary is saying
everybody else is communist in comparison.
Oh, yeah, sure. So Gary, through his Twitter profile, X profile, Tennessee Stands, is offering his belief that all of this is a ruse. The special session is a ruse in order to get violation of your rights through red flag laws and so much else. I don't believe it for a second. If at any point I believe that any of your constitutional rights are being threatened by legislation in the special session or otherwise, I will point it out to you. I am not a conservative, nor have I ever claimed to be a conservative. I'm a libertarian with a small L. That means that I believe in the libertarian philosophy of government. Government serves best that serves least, even when it comes to social matters that ought to be a part of the fabric and construct of the community as opposed to dictated by government itself. That is my belief. That's where I am on it. But at the same time, I recognize that when we work best, libertarians and conservatives are working hand in hand to guarantee and ensure the furtherance of our freedoms, individual liberties, and constitutional rights. And I don't for a moment see a reason why Gary Humble and Matt Murphy can't work together toward that end. However, as I mentioned yesterday, Gary has had repeated opportunity to come on the show, and he's declined the chance to come on the show, saying that he did not believe that it would be in anyone's best interest. So yesterday, a person by the name of Andy Roth offered a tweet and gave his beliefs as to how and he calls it the uniparty. And anyone that starts here, anyone that tells me, and I would love for Gary to offer his thoughts on it. And once again, the mic is open for you, Gary. You don't have to hide behind your Twitter page to talk about me. You can come right on the radio show and talk about me. Because he responded today. You want to hear the response? You'll like this. Tennessee stands, this was 1:05 this afternoon. Tennessee stands, which is operated by Gary Humble. Governor Bill Lee calls special session for gun control and the rhinos applaud. Now, once again, I cannot be a Republican in name only because I am not a Republican. I've never claimed to be a Republican, nor have I ever claimed to be a conservative. A lot of people refer to me as a conservative talk show host, and I don't correct them anymore, but whatever. This is my favorite part. This is good. Governor Bill Lee calls special session for gun control and the rhinos applaud. Little men with microphones are publicly celebrating the governor's call for a special session because they are going to expand school safety, remove taxes on gun safes, and pass a resolution on human trafficking. All bills we would support, of course, during a regular session of the General Assembly. But this governor has used his constitutional powers reserved for, quote, extraordinary occasions, end quote, to call the General Assembly into session to do much more. Most notably, 1. Codify Executive Order 100, which makes changes to the Tennessee Instant Check System, an expedited background check system carrying not only criminal history but also mental health adjudications to be reported to firearms dealers. Okay, that's already in existence, and what this would do was expedite the process to turn that around in a certain time frame. So nothing would change about the requirements of reporting, at least what I've seen.
Was that little men spelled Liddle?
No, he spelled it correct.
Okay.
That's too bad, really. Little men with microphones. Maybe he's talking about Mandus. I don't know.
He'd probably say short if that was the case.
Yeah. Number 2, require DNA collection for all felony arrests, not convictions. Number 3, expand. I don't know. I haven't seen that bill. I'd need to see that bill. Just let you know where I'm at on it. Number 3, expand Medicaid to cover mental health programs funded with federal money. I'm against the expansion of Medicaid. And I will fight against it. Number 4, mental health orders of protection, red flag laws. It's a no-brainer. It's going nowhere. And if Gary Humble is as smart as he thinks he is, he knows that. Number 5, and by the way, the governor included it in the call, the order of protection. It is not in the governor's. It's not in his agenda item. It's not a part of his agenda. I don't think that he's written a bill on it. So, number 5.
Well, from what Scott told me before you guys started, he has not.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. Number 5, the structure and operation of state and local courts, presumably to make way for new processes concerning mental health and orders of protection. We echo the sentiments of real conservatives across the state. Oh, yeah, real conservatives. Are real conservatives more conservative than true conservatives? I'm just trying to get a handle on this. I need to know the order here. So is it real conservatives, then true conservatives? What about, where does lifelong conservative fall in that?
It's all very fluid.
Is it a fluid? They say conservative fluidity, right? I'm conservative. Yeah, you know what? That's what I am. I just realized. Thank you, Bell. I'm conservative fluid. That's nice. Then Gary goes on to complain about the special session and upset that some people are lending support to the special session. Yada, yada, yada. He harkens back to the COVID days, yada, yada, yada. Here's what I would say. Calm down. If you want to discuss, that's a good one. I'm pan-conservative. That's what I am. I love it.
You only use Teflon?
I'm giving Representative Jody Barrett credit for that. He just texted. Jody, if you didn't want credit, you should have told me. Jody, I'm pan-conservative. I just, sometimes I like conservative things and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I swing over to libertarian.
You only use pans with Teflon?
No, sure. Slick and slide, nothing. How did they get the Teflon to stick? Because nothing sticks to it. It's a conundrum. Anyway, I'll just say I'll suspend it now because we got Congressman Mark Green on the show. Gary, you are invited. You are welcome. I will have any conversation. I don't hate on you. I love on you. I think you are ridiculous in your purity tests. I think it's absurd to suggest that you get to decide who real conservatives are and no one else. It is nonsense, and you are further dividing conservative people when you ought to be uniting behind the cause of destroying Democrats who want to destroy this country. You are hurting, Gary, let me be real clear. You're hurting the cause of the United States of America by intentionally dividing conservatives and fighting amongst conservatives when you ought to get the hell with the program and fight the leftists that are trying to ruin this country. How about that? All right, would it be in the better interest of the show for me to do the break now? I think so. So, Congressman, with apology, we're going to do the break now. We'll come back with Congressman Mark Green. Haven't talked to Mark in a while. Looking forward to that conversation on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Somebody just called me the Wayne Brady of Super Talk. I know that I'm supposed to be doing something else now, but I couldn't help mention that. Here's what I should be doing. I should be telling you about Stokes Nielsen and the next project that he's got on his plate. And I love this guy, man. Stokes and I have sat down. We're going to break bread real soon. And he loves law enforcement so much that he's been creating these law enforcement appreciation concerts all over the country. And now we've got one coming to our local community. It's the 7th one since 2021. Now, I've got some sad news to report. Due to the nature and security of the jobs that we're talking about with these law enforcement guys. I mean, we're talking about some guys that are in bed with some of the drug dealers and whatnot, undercover guys. The event has to be closed to the public, but it is an event that will be going on later on this year. And Stokes wants to give you the opportunity to truly show how much these law enforcement officers mean to the community that they serve. So here's what we're trying to do. The goal is to cover this venue with posters of support and love from the community. While you can't mingle directly with them for the event, you can show them your love and support. I will show you pictures of that sign of encouragement, and we will figure that out. Stokes can explain all of this to you. He's looking for enough posters so that every officer gets to take one home, and that's about 200 posters. So if you have a church group, maybe you have a vacation Bible school, if that's still going on, maybe your school group wants to show support for law enforcement, go to signvolunteer997 at gmail.com. Signvolunteer997 at gmail.com. Email Stokes, talk to him about it, and get to getting those posters ready for the Law Enforcement Appreciation Concert with Stokes Nielsen.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Murphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Ohio's 6-week abortion ban has been on hold since last fall. Now the Supreme Court scheduled to hear arguments in that case. Right now in Tennessee, we had an attempted robbery this morning outside of a bank, plus inflation up yet again. That and more. 2:30 Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
It is 2:20. Thank you much, Mac Morey. Looking forward to those headlines in just about 10 minutes. Looking forward to a great conversation with Congressman Mark Green. He joins us, obviously, covering representing the 7th Congressional District. And it's been a minute since we've had the chance to catch up, but it's been busy times in Washington, D.C., trying to stave off the Biden administration and some of their more ridiculous actions. Congressman, good afternoon. Thanks for being on with us.
Hey, brother. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be with you.
And I know you're on the front lines of it. I want to start right there. I mean, obviously, there's other things that we can talk about, but let's start with the front lines of the southern border. I'll ask you simply, do you feel like this is getting better, the same, or worse currently under the Biden administration?
Well, it's absolutely horrible, and it's getting worse just because it's additive. So every month, although the numbers – they were down a little bit in June, although the problem with the shell game, and they put these people through the CBP1 app, and they're not adding them into the encounter number. So it looks a lot better than it is. If you add those new people being brought in and given asylum, just catch and release basically through the ports of entry to the encounter numbers, well, it's getting close to what it was. But June was down a little bit from last June and down a little bit from before that. So, but it's additive, right? So every new person adds to the demands on communities across the country, and that's a bad thing. And they have no interest in closing it down. Everything they're doing is to facilitate more people coming in.
I'm amazed at the willingness on the part of the mainstream media to ignore the real problems that are happening in major sanctuary cities now that they're feeling some of the brunt of this. I think our border governors have gotten wise to the way that they need to draw attention to this, and the mainstream media just seems steadfast in not reporting it. You see it in New York City. You see it in other major metropolitan areas where they're feeling such a strain. And it's funny, they're now repeating the same type of language that our southern border states have been talking about for the last 10 years, Mark.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, MSNBC actually, which somebody pointed out to me earlier, was bashing on the Biden administration. Interestingly enough, now that the New York and the Massachusetts governor issued a state of emergency. What's interesting is that was 20,000. They had 20,000 migrants they're dealing with in Massachusetts. That's 10 days on the Arizona border. So these people are screaming. I mean, Adams, the mayor in New York, he's talking about 200 a day, overwhelming a city of 11 million. How about El Paso, Texas, where 850 are coming in a day? And, oh, by the way, that's a city of less than 200,000 people. I'm at the point now where, we want to say we were out there saying every state's a border state. And, look, we're taking a hit in Tennessee, too, but it's almost offensive. You got to feel bad for Texas and Arizona saying all states are a border state because it's still not even close. I mean, it's like a drop in the swimming pool to what's happening to Texas and Arizona. They're getting hammered. And these Democrats start screaming about their 200 a day and, oh, my gosh. And, yeah, okay, good. Welcome to the party. But, man, we're talking 7 million people. And this is insane.
It is. And I know how loath the court system, the judicial branch, has been to get into what is ultimately a disagreement between the Congress of the United States and the executive branch, because clearly Biden is not doing his job as set out by the law regarding immigration. So if we 100%. can't get remedy in the judicial, I mean, the best thing we can hope for is to draw attention to this and move toward 2024 and electing more conservatives in the House of Representatives, electing more conservatives in the Senate, and obviously the White House. I mean, can we do any more?
You blinked out there.
No. Is there any more that we can do outside of drawing attention to it?
Well, we passed a wonderful bill, Matt. I mean, that border security bill that we put out there, it will fix all of this. It is fantastic if the Senate, if we can get people educated and get more of these, like there was a TV hit from some guys in Chicago because the social services are getting moved over for a lot of people up there, and they're starting to fight. If we raise enough of a voice, we could get Mayorkas gone and some stuff changed. I'll give you an excellent example. The archery programs and the gun education programs in Tennessee. As soon as I heard about that, my team had a bill like within a day, and we dropped that bill. We started educating people. We started, and I will tell you, it swept the country. Biden yesterday announced they're going to bring those back. So, and that they made a mistake. So if we get loud enough, maybe, just maybe, we can move this thing. And get loud, force them to pass the bill in the Senate that we passed in the House. That's what we got to do.
You bring up this. You bring, well, no doubt on the Mayorkas front, and I would love to ask you about are we closer to seeing an impeachment of Mayorkas or Joe Biden?
I think Biden, all the attention. I mean, I'm still pressing forward with my 5 phases to help educate. When we're done, we're going to release a packet on all the failures and and what I think are some laws broken. But obviously, all the attention now is on the Biden crime syndicate, and it's got everybody's attention. Even in the Republic, we did a Republican presentation, myself, Comer, and Judiciary, about the 3 investigations we're doing. Jordan into DOJ, Comer into the Biden family syndicate, crime syndicate, and then me on Mayorkas. All the questions were about Biden and the crime syndicate. Every Republican member of Congress, that's what everybody's focused on. So, and it's pretty revealing. I mean, some of the new testimony. I mean, we need to do an impeachment inquiry. We need to form an impeachment inquiry today on Joe Biden.
Well, I look forward to that impeachment inquiry because I think more and more evidence is coming out. I know that you've noticed. I mean, this $20 million is prima facie evidence that there was some sort of scheme, call it a bribery scheme if you want. I think it's pretty close to it, if not dead on. It's pretty. If this doesn't rise above the clatter and create a dynamic by which the mainstream media has to cover it, Mark, I don't know what will, because this seems on its face to be a bribery scheme by the then Vice President of the United States.
It is a quid pro quo. The whole thing with Burisma and the prosecutor being thrown off, that's a clear quid pro quo. The money being funneled to the family is clearly has influenced Joe Biden's decision making and the things he did, both as a vice president and now as a president. Honestly, it is a high crime. When you use your office, the definition of a high crime is when you use your office to, benefit yourself or do detriment to the country, and it's in that position. And that's exactly what Joe Biden has done. And honestly, the powers of the Congress, when an impeachment inquiry is not an impeachment, it's a higher level of investigation with much greater powers granted to Congress to go and get information. And that's what we've got to do.
You mentioned the shooting sports. I've long contended, Mark, that the left wants to create any conversation about a gun or in this case archery too, to turn into a negative regarding the weapon. It is necessary in order to do what I think their ultimate plan is, and that is to confiscate weapons in the United States of America. They made an attempt. Talk to me about what exactly they were trying to do. And I know you fought back against this. They wanted to eliminate funding from schools that were involved in extracurricular activities like shooting sports?
Yeah, it's just like it is this centralization of power in Washington, this end around the federalism. They tax the money up to Washington, and then they dribble it back to the states, whether it's Title $10. They stopped those from Tennessee because we don't do abortions anymore. And I drafted a bill on that. We haven't won the day there. That's a tougher one. On the archery and hunting safety courses that are taught in schools, they basically pulled Education Title IX funding from that. And we did a bill. We did a messaging campaign. And I mean, it was, I think 72 hours they changed their mind. So Democrats clearly got on board with pushing back against that. That would have affected about 50, 60,000 students in Tennessee.
Well, and you know, we recognize that you are focused on Washington, D.C. Are you watching at all what's going on in Tennessee with the special session? I mean, have you had any moment and any? I mean, I know you've been down there in the General Assembly. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think red flag laws are a bad idea. In fact, they're going to get people hurt. And it's, look, is there stuff we can do to help people who are struggling with mental health? Absolutely. If that's where they're going, look, I think that's great. And I read a few of the bills that some other guys, some of the like William Lambert had filed, and I'm like, okay, that's not a bad idea. But red flag laws are unacceptable. Should never happen in the state of Tennessee, and everybody needs to push back on that. And I hope every member of the Republican side will.
Well, and I think the governor has heard the message loud and clear, considering while he included order of protection in the call, I don't think it's in his list of bills that he wants filed in the General Assembly. So if he's not asking a member of the legislature to carry that order of protection bill, that tells me a lot that I need to know about the message that he's received regarding red flag laws.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely made a decision to go outside of what the legislature has told him is possible with the red flag stuff. And I just, that it should not happen. It's a bad idea.
Well, we shall see on that front, and I appreciate your time on this front, and thank you for coming on with us and updating us on the southern border and this shooting sports story and everything else involving Hunter, Joe, and the Biden crime family. We'll keep up with you, Mark. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, sounds good, Matt. Take care of yourself.
All right, you too. There's Congressman Mark Green joining us for a few moments. 232 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Quick time for news.
.232, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. No severe weather expected today, just scattered showers. Tomorrow expected to be sunny. Full weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Ohio's 6-week abortion ban has been on hold since last fall, while a lawsuit against the legislation has been winding its way through the court system. Now, almost a year later, the state Supreme Court is scheduled to hear arguments in the case. Ann Flaherty has more.
The Ohio Supreme Court has set September 27th as the day it will hear arguments on the state's 6-week abortion ban. The hearing will come just weeks ahead of a vote this November on whether to amend Ohio's constitution to guarantee the right to abortion. Earlier this week, Ohio rejected a ballot measure that would have made it more difficult for the abortion amendment to pass.
Right now in Tennessee, Metro Police arrested a suspect who reportedly robbed a woman who was leaving a bank this morning. This was at a Bank of America on Murfreesboro Pike when a masked man took her money and shot her in the shoulder. That woman has non-life-threatening injuries and is currently hospitalized. Officers found that suspect after fleeing away on foot. And inflation, it's up again. Prices in July came in at 3.2% higher than a year ago, but ticked up 0.2% compared to June's figure. Elizabeth Schulze has more from Wall Street.
Some of the biggest price declines are for airfares and used cars, but car insurance and gas prices are ticking up again. AAA says the national average was up about 30 cents just in the last month, fueled by OPEC supply cuts and slower oil refining because of some of the extreme heat that we've seen.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. and probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce
you're
it.
worried about your health.
It's
Maybe
not
you
for
don't
lack of
notice any
trying.
particular symptoms, but you feel lethargic or run down, low energy, whatever it might be. If you're concerned, that's going to weigh heavily on your mind. It's going to weigh heavily on really your ability to perform physically and certainly mentally. It can start weighing on you in your job and your marriage. Why not get some peace of mind through Craft Body Scan? They're brand new in this community, and I'm so proud to be telling you about them. I attended the grand opening recently of Craft Body Scan right in Nashville, and they offer preventative scans, CT scans, even if you're asymptomatic, that can help offer you peace of mind. It can empower you regarding your health. It can add to life longevity. They are a tool for people to take control of their health through early detection. Private health consultation will start the process. They learn a little more about you. Then you're scanned on site. I've been through the process. It only takes about 5 or so minutes. The images are reviewed by board-certified radiologists, and depending on the level of your scan, whether you do full body, lung, heart, whatever it might be, they'll get you the results back very quickly. Ideally, you find nothing, and you got peace of mind. You sleep better at night. But if there is something, even if you're asymptomatic, it notices, and then you can move forward in the process and find out what to do about that diagnosis. $149 for a heart and lung scan for you and your spouse or significant other. How about that? Couples scanning, $149. Go to craftbodyscan.com. That's C-R-A-F-T, spell craft with a C, bodyscan.com, or 615-436-1000. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yeah. Sometimes we laugh during the breaks. You have to laugh to keep from crying. If you want in, I've got a sliver of an opportunity. We're anticipating a call by Senator Tommy Tuberville. Senator Tuberville and I were set to talk some months ago. There was something that came up, and we were unable to do so. I wanted to talk with him about NIL, the name, image, likeness legislation that he has sponsored. I think he's in with West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin on this. So it's a bipartisan effort. attempting to pass legislation that would address NIL regulation. What they're trying to do is, right now you've just got a patchwork of state laws governing name, image, likeness, and it's creating 2 and 3 and 8-tier systems. And they're trying to handle that. But also, while we have him on the line, obviously we want to talk with him about his hold on military promotions and why he's doing what he's doing and why he plans on continue doing what he's doing until such time as there's some clarity with the Pentagon. In the meantime, former Vice President and current GOP presidential candidate Mike Pence has come out with a new political ad. Anybody see it? Anybody see it? It was online. I posted a little repost of it. I almost hesitate to say anything about it because it's almost sad in its nature. But I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to explain to you what's going on. So Mike Pence, it's just sad. He's promoting his Pence energy plan to get gas down at the pump. And in doing so, the ad starts with Mike Pence sitting in a red pickup truck, nice Georgia red pickup truck. And he's in the driver's seat, the window's down. He gets out of the truck and shuts the door. And the first thing you notice is that the gas, like where you pump your gas, is already open. The flap on the gas thing is already open.
So this is at least take 2.
This is at least take 2. But then it gets worse. Listen as I play the ad. Now, what Mike Pence does, just imagine in your mind, he's talking to us. He shuts the door. He walks over to the pump. He pulls the pump. He walks over to the open gas door. He puts the pump in the gas door, and then he's still talking to us. And then eventually you'll start hearing beeping.
Hey, everybody. Mike Pence here. Remember $2 a gallon gas?
I do.
I do.
There he
and
is.
then Joe Biden became president of the United States and launched his war on energy.
Now, he's got his hand, so he's put the pump in the thing, and now he's pumping the gas, baby. He's pumping the gas. He's got his hand on the thing. He doesn't set that little lever like most of us do. Yeah, but he's pumping the gas.
Since that time, gasoline prices are up 60%. Electricity prices are up 25%. Joe Biden's war on energy is causing real hardship for working families, small businesses, and family farms.
You need to,
but we've got a plan to relieve all of that. We just unveiled the Pence energy plan that will not only put our country back on a path to energy independence, but by 2040 we will reclaim America's role as the leading producer of energy in the world.
Could you scan your
card?
Join us
in the fight for American energy leadership.
We need payment.
By going to MikePence2024.com. We can lead the world once again to a more prosperous and a secure future for America with energy independence and American energy leadership.
Why? Why would you do that? The thing's beeping at him.
You really need to chill before his audiovisual person comes to kick your ass.
Oh, that's true. I've already gotten in trouble criticizing one ad. This reminds me, when I was in Alabama, the race for, when Jeff Sessions was selected as Attorney General in 2017, there was a special election for U.S. Senator. And the two people that got into a runoff on the Republican side of things were Luther Strange, who was a longtime political figure in the state of Alabama, and Roy Moore, also a longtime political figure in the state of Alabama. And one of the ads that Luther ran, trying to present himself as a common man, Luther was from Mountain Brook. Luther, and I'm not casting aspersions, he's a nice enough guy, but just to help you understand who he was a lobbyist for years in Washington, D.C., had a residence in Washington, D.C., and he tried to cast himself as an everyman. And so in doing so, he borrowed someone's white truck, and the ad is, hey, I'm going to clean up D.C., and he did it in a car wash. And when he drove up to the car wash, the truck was supposed to be dirty. And it was the dumbest. You can look this up. It was the dumbest looking political ad I've ever seen in my life. It looked like, that somebody had just mixed up clay and water and just thrown splotches.
Gosh.
It looked like a white cow with brown splotches on it. It was so obviously fake that it did him. I mean, Luther lost that runoff in part because he tried to be someone that he wasn't. Mike Pence. Mike McMorey, can you help? Mike, buddy, just pump the damn gas or don't pump the gas. All you had to do was pull up to the pump, stand beside the gas pump, talk like you were talking, and then at the end of the ad, maybe you pick up the pump like you're about to start pumping.
That's good.
Yeah, but that doesn't allow him to pretend he has a personality.
The things to beep, beep. I don't blame Mike Pence, much in the same way that I did not blame Alice Rowley for that awful political ad of hers. Alice was able to overcome it. Mike's not going to be able to overcome 2%.
Well, Alice also had the good sense to be willing to make herself the butt of the joke.
And she was good-natured about it. Everyone was good-natured about it. Alice was. Mills, her campaign manager, was. Everyone in the room thought it was very funny, except the guy that wanted to kick my ass.
He did not like it.
No, he did not. So it goes back to politicians creating these ads where they're clearly trying to become something that they're not. Just be who you are. Mike Pence, maybe there was a time where you were an everyman figure. I don't know that you can present. I mean, you're more like a Ken doll. I mean, you really kind of are, but one way or the other, either do it or don't do it. Either pump some gas or don't. But don't pretend to pump gas. Don't pee on my leg and tell me that it's raining. It's not raining. It's not raining. All right, I have no idea where Tommy Tuberville is, but in the interest of trying to get the maximum out of this interview that we could, we'll take a short break now. We'll come back in a moment, hopefully to speak with Tommy Tuberville. It's 2:47, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So yesterday, Bel K and I had a laugh because I said, "Are you ready? Call Jeff Eddy." I thought of a better one. You ready? You ready for this one?
What is it?
All right. It's summertime in Tennessee. If you're sweaty, call Jeff Eddy. Huh? What do you think? If you're in your house and awful sweaty, take my advice and call Jeff Eddy. Jeff Eddy, I'm sorry, Jeff, for that. Efficient Heating and Cooling is a small company with big service and big results. And when you call them and you need them to come out to your home, whether it's a maintenance call or whether you need them to check your unit, do me a favor, just for me. It'll make me giggle. Say, hey, Matt Murphy said if I'm sweaty, I need to call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Just do that for me, just the one time. The best way to head off costly repairs, however, is to go ahead and maintenance that unit. And even if you've not done so, and frankly, I'll tell you, in the next couple of months, I'm going to be advising you to do it for your heating unit because you need to do this once a year for the heater, once a year for the AC, because these are major investments. These are $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 investments. It's time to protect that investment with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Now, when it comes time to replace, he's going to be honest with you. He'll tell you if he thinks it's in your best interest to do so. And he's a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. EfficientHVAC.net or call 615-784-4424. It's summertime. If you're sweaty, call Jeff Eddy at Efficient Heating and Cooling.
FEMA disaster relief headed to Hawaii after wildfires. A man arrested in Tennessee with copious amounts of explosive materials, and an update in the classified documents case involving former President Donald Trump. I'll explain at 3 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, McMorey. Bell K behind the glass, McMorey behind the further glass in the news closet. Matt Murphy here in studio. Brian Wilson's coming up out of Watertown for the drive with Brian Wilson, and we were communicating prior to his show the last several days, and I told him I couldn't do it today because I thought we'd have Senator Tommy Tuberville on today. But I am anticipating his show. We look forward to listening to how he is and how he sounds after his procedure yesterday. And he is a bigger man than me to allow. I don't even know if he allowed the Cabana wife to post the video that she posted. If you've not seen it on social media, you need to.
You don't tell your boss what she can and can't do.
Well, that's true. If you've ever had a procedure where you had to go into the hospital, you felt like Brian Wilson looks, which is kind of out of it, and Cabana wife is taking every opportunity.
Well, and the entire situation just makes you feel vulnerable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from the gown on down, every bit of it makes you feel vulnerable. So I want to leave you with this. By the way, you guys are incredibly funny on the Super Text line, and I appreciate you. Many of you suggesting that instead of Donald Trump calling Mike Pence little with the D's, from now on, he should call him Gas Pump Pence.
That's good.
Mike Pence stole the red truck idea from Fred Thompson. Yeah. And then this. Matt, for someone who holds no grudge against this guy who wanted to kick your butt, you're sure having a hard time letting go of it. If you hold no grudges, let it go. Forget about it. If you can't, have charges filed against him or go find him and find out who kicks who. Have a nice day.
Matt did not bring the guy up. I did.
Oh, and look, we're just having fun with it. I mean, you got to laugh about some of this stuff. It was as comical as the day is long. So we're just having a good time with it. We're just laughing a little bit of it. Hey, if you there was an event this morning involving the mayor's race of Nashville. And as John Cooper's term comes to an end, he is pushing to, quote unquote, cement his legacy, that according to the Tennessean, I don't know about it, regarding the redevelopment of Nashville's East Bank. The vision includes a boulevard, a transit hub, public parks, and opportunities to construct affordable housing on roughly 113 acres of Metro-owned land. As a part of the $2.1 billion deal with the Tennessee Titans and the new enclosed football stadium, it will be perched on 15 acres of that land, bracketed by parcels totaling 20 acres that will become Stadium Village. As a part of the deal, Metro then takes control of approximately 66 acres of land currently used as parking for Nissan Stadium. The two mayoral candidates, Alice Rowley and Freddie O'Connell, have now weighed in on what they believe should be done with that property. Alice Rowley saying after too many decades, the City Bank or the East Bank project puts the city of Nashville back in charge of some of our county's most valuable land. This transformative project significantly increases our county's tax base, ensuring we can continue to have the best paid teachers, first responders. So she wants to activate the 80 acres to benefit residents by improving transit, providing housing, parks, as well as greenways. Let's see. What did Freddie O'Connell say about it? Oh, no, out of time. We'll have to tell you tomorrow. We are out of time. Brian Wilson's coming up. The news is coming up. Sorry, Freddie. We'll have Freddie back on. He'll tell us. Alice, too. A Freestyle Friday edition of the Murphy Show starts tomorrow. We'll have a number of guests, including Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton and, of course, Jay St. Clair on a Fry J. Until then, Brian Wilson, The Drive up next. Have a wonderful afternoon, folks. So long.